Well, I mean, I'm flattered because I'm not as big as our boy Vinny, but obviously, if we can, how do I say it? Preach the good olive oil gospel.
That's right.
We got to do what we can.
Exactly. And fuck Vinny.
Vinny. I like that, actually. Yeah. Vinny's, I love Vinny, man. He doesn't hold anything back. He's been on my show multiple times. I've been on his once now. So yeah, he's a straight shooter. You got to love him. So
yeah. And so is Anna.
Anna's awesome. She has only been on once. I got to get her back on because I love her book. I've literally bought probably 7 copies to give them to people. So,
wow.
And she even hand signed one that I gave my mother because my parents don't really listen to my health practices. So I'm trying to slowly educate them in a.
And I'm sure your parents say, "Oh yeah, like you listened to us when you were younger."
Yes. There's that classic generational gap. I mean, me being a health coach in my free time too, I tell people, I'm like, just try not to help your closest friends and your family because it just leads to frustration. Outsource that and go from there.
Exactly. That's why you never go to a family doctor.
Yes.
Family.
I don't even go to a doctor.
Exactly. There you go.
I see, here in the U.S., I see chiropractors and masseuses. I actually literally just came from my chiropractor before here. So I'm all adjusted up for a 10-mile run tomorrow.
Nice.
So you guys can see me everything okay, right?
I can. Paul records over at the kitchen table, so he's a little bit far away from me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure when I start doing screen sharing, it improves the interaction, right?
Yeah.
So
he's gonna jigger himself around.
Nice. I like the idea of separating you both, so you don't have like your microphones over driving and stuff. So
it helps us just it's just for us it works out because then we can look at each other when we're recording.
I like that.
We're doing our own thing, so it's like we're having a conversation.
We got to get you guys a camera, man, because if and when I get you on another episode, I want to see how you guys do things. I think it just adds a lot of raw transparency, to what you guys are doing and the bigger picture of everything you're doing. So,
I mean, I could see if Paul has a little webcam, but it's going to be hard to get him in a shot too. So then it gets a little complicated.
Well, just so you know, have you ever been on Zoom, by the way?
No.
Oh, so Zoom works like this. If you guys both dialed in as separate attendees, because my system supports up to 50 attendees, then even if somebody doesn't have a camera, each person shows up as a different square.
Okay.
So when this gets published to video, you'll just see either me, if I'm talking, it pans to my microphone as a priority. And then whoever starts talking louder or takes over their turn, basically, then the video switches in the Zoom system. So basically, like let's say, Steve, you didn't have a camera, but Paul did. Then when Paul's talking, we will see his video feed. When you're talking, it'll just say whatever you logged in with. So for example, I'm seeing on my end, Villa Cappelli, because that's what you typed in when you logged in. So, yeah.
I can look into it.
So did you guys both dial in onto the same bridge?
Well, no, we're just hooked up into the same soundboard.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you basically have both your microphones in through the board, and then I got it. All right. I like it.
Can you still hear me like this?
Yeah.
Switch over, yeah.
Sound great?
Okay, cool. Okay.
All right. Well, let me actually tell you what. Let me go ahead and bring up the screen share. So,
that's fine. I can see.
And just so you guys know, when it comes to the video content, like I'm already recording. We're keeping it. I keep it more like behind the scenes and real for the YouTube stuff, since obviously the podcast takes priority, and it's all about good audio. So we haven't actually started recording for the show yet. This is more like raw behind the scenes, getting everything going.
Cool.
And then because I do what Vinny does, where we'll say, goodbye at the end of the show. I'll stop recording for the podcast. And then there's usually a little extra video footage at the end. So more fun that way.
Yeah, cool.
I keep trying to get Vinny to switch over to this. He keeps complaining about Skype all the time. I was like, dude, I left Skype over 50 episodes ago. So he's the only guy that I have to do Skype for, because his excuse is I'm old and I don't want to learn something new. So
it sounds easier to use actually than Skype. Because I'm telling you, when I do those Skype things, like I told you, it's like, because the soundboard and you have to change it's just really complicated.
Yeah, they call it mix minus.
Yeah, exactly. That whole thing.
Yep, I know. I had to study that. But when I launched this show a year ago, I was like what the hell is a mix minus? I'm trying to figure that out. I'm like, what is this?
Exactly.
And meanwhile, his business partner, completely agrees with me. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I love Zoom. So I said, we all need to gang up on Vinny and to just convince him to like level his show up. And especially now that he's doing more video content now and stuff too. I'm like, this is just guaranteed, free video content. I just push it out when the show goes live. So
yeah, because did he just do a couple of episodes on a TV show or something, right?
I don't know about a TV show. Well, I don't know. I haven't been, I got to go on his YouTube feed then, because I know he started publishing like fitness tips and like the things he's doing with the kids and stuff, like these new short podcast episodes trying to teach kids about health and wellness for like 5 minutes. So I know he's trying to cycle that in more. And I think it's really primarily focused around the Pure Vitamin Club. Right. As far as video. Right. So, hey man, if you got on a TV show about it, even better.
Yeah. I thought he like did something on, because it was something like K something.
Oh, he was on that radio show for a little while.
He's been doing radio in LA.
Yeah, but then he stopped doing that because the guys were douchebags. So, he got pissed off. That was like how many episodes ago? He basically told everybody, yeah. He's like, yeah, that was a short win. He's like, and then I realized they're still as archaic as they used to be when he used to do radio. And he said, I'm just going back to what I do best. And he's like, my podcast gets more downloads than they have listeners on the radio show.
Exactly. And then you're also, it's yours and you're control of it. So it's like, and
that was his frustration.
Exactly.
Yeah. They couldn't handle, how do I put this? They couldn't handle Vinny. He was just a little too much. So, well, anyway, so I will give you guys a live intro. And then obviously when I say welcome to the show, you guys know when to jump in, say hello, and then we'll get this wrapping because I don't want to waste any quality time. And then as far as, I'm trying to do a better job. At the end of the show, I'm very big on motivation and inspiration and trying to inspire other people. So I always give our co-hosts the opportunity to close the show out with something of a bigger picture thought. So maybe like the bigger picture behind why you started your business or whatever. That's all up to you. I don't care. I don't script it. Nothing is scripted. If we swear, we swear. We use profanity, oh well. But I'm trying to remind people now, after over 100 shows, that I should probably let people know and not blindside them at the end of the show. Like, hey, what are your words of wisdom to close the show out?
Right.
Because then I've literally had a couple people like, and they were just brain fart. So, yeah. So I'll be nice to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Now, is there any questions before we fire up?
Nope.
No.
Okay. So again, your audience here is we discuss health, business, lifestyle, the marriage, the balance of all of that. And we've had everybody from just similar to Vinny, as far as I've had biologists and doctors and everything else on, but I've also had online entrepreneurs, sales and marketing gurus, professional speakers. I've had people just literally from sports psychology to talk about lifestyle, all kinds of mindset development. So I like the balance that I've created here. So, and I know you guys can definitely talk about healthy lifestyle. So,
yes.
All right. Well, then please stand by and we'll fire up the podcast here.
Okay.
All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today I am honored beyond belief to finally get a co-host, or I should say two co-hosts, onto this show that I've been trying to get on for a while. I found these two gentlemen and their amazing products, and I'll just call them healthy products. We'll get into that as well. Thanks to Vinny Tortorich, who's been on this show multiple times. These gentlemen reside in Italy. And so I'm already starting to give you a little tease if you're a regular listener here. I do shots of a very powerful liquid that they sell. And, I'll just tell you guys, these guys to me epitomize what health and wellness and where our food came from. And they're basically in a powerful country that is a lot cleaner and healthier than we are today. Obviously, like I said, Italy versus the USA. I love our country, but as a kid who grew up on a farm, it's not the way it used to be. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the show these gentlemen who are the power behind VillaCappelli.com and the Villa Cappelli Olive Oil Company, Steve Crutchfield and Paul Cappelli.
Buongiorno. Devo parlare in inglese o posso parlare in italiano? I'm kidding. I speak English perfectly.
I was just saying, you got me beat right there. I was like, I don't know what's going to go on here because I can't understand a word he's saying. I wish I did. And I will have to learn some of that, though, because I plan on coming to your country.
Yes, you should.
Well, you have to come visit us. I mean, you consume enough of our fuel.
You mean everything that's sitting back behind me? You like that little product placement? Hold on. Wait a minute. As my Instagram has always said, I'm a podcaster, and as Vinny educated me on, I really enjoy doing shots of this, so I should probably lubricate the vocals.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Wow. Oh my God.
We should have done a chant like the frat boys. Jump, 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 jump.
I did go to the university. I used to chug things less healthy. For our listeners, guys, we obviously have the YouTube feed, and I'm literally taking a straight shot. That was probably actually a double shot. Oh, the peppery finish is amazing of their olive oil. So yes, you can drink olive oil straight. I choose to. Maybe people think I'm crazy. My own fiance looks at me like I got two heads. But it's a dose of healthy fats, people. So
yes, absolutely. Some of the healthiest stuff that you can burn, right?
As Vinny has educated us, and as I've tried to educate people as well. Yes, it's like, okay, do you want the short burn off of sugar that messes with your hormones and everything else? Right. Or do you want something clean, natural, that is derived from, vegetables, ergo olives? So ergo healthy fats like olive oil.
Yeah. But now I am going to correct you right away. For 1 second.
It's not a vegetable, is it?
No.
Right.
You picked up on that. So please clarify for our listeners, as the experts in olive oil, what we're talking about.
Well, first of all, most experts will tell you that vegetable oils are really not that good for you. So you should sort of stay away from them. And olive is a fruit. So it's really a fruit juice that you're drinking. It is an oil, obviously, because it's unctuous, as my mother would say. But yeah, it's a fruit. And what a lot of people don't realize, and we didn't realize it either when we first started producing our own extra virgin olive oil, is that what's also in that luxurious liquid that you just imbibed are the pits. The pits get crushed into the olive oil as well.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You just taught me something. Okay. I am not a very educated consumer. I thought I was. You guys actually grind the pits up.
Yeah. It's the mill uses the mill that we use uses 3. I don't know. They've got to be like 10-ton granite wheels to crush the olives. And who the hell has time to pit? It's like making cherry juice, and you got to pit the cherries. Like, forget it.
Right.
So everything gets crushed in there, and a lot of the good nutrients are in the pit, which I guess in one way or another you can also call almost a nut, right?
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
It's a stone fruit, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, because I'm always educating people, for example, about the healthy attributes of obviously avocados, right? They become explosive here thanks to marketing here in the US. And that is also technically a fruit. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people say you can do things with those nuts too, like the seeds, but I really do not have the time to even figure that out.
No.
The only thing we've ever done with avocado seeds is grow avocado trees. Remember that little thing? It was sort of like a high school experiment. You put toothpicks in the pit, and you sit the butt end of the seed into a glass of water, so the butt is sitting in water. The toothpicks hold it up, and within a week or so, the seed opens up, and a little green thing starts growing out of it, sort of like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. Well, we had one tree that we lasted for about 7 years.
Yeah.
Until a big ice, not ice, but freezing cold weather here. This winter was our coldest weather in Italian recorded history, our coldest winter.
And this was, now granted, I'm a huge skier, so I'm glad I heard that. But I know, obviously, because I'm also a happy consumer of your products, I don't want to hear that. So I have to, I guess, lie in two forms of feedback on that. Yay for snow, but bad for the olives and the avocados, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, it
trees,
didn't.
it's fine.
Yeah, it didn't really mess with the olive tree. It messed up all our citrus trees, our lemons especially. But the irony of having the coldest winter in recorded history in the south here in Puglia is that here we had over a foot of snow. So here we had snow. Up north they had mountains.
Yes.
If we could bring the two of them together, and in the mountains they had no snow.
Oh my God, I would love it if that, because I mean, again, to our listeners, guys, like their villa is no joke. And you are in the area, the southern tip of Italy, in the area called Puglia. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are pronouncing it correctly.
I've been working on this.
Yes, some people. It's also sometimes written as Apulia, Apulia, but the formal name is Puglia, Puglia.
Yes,
it's pronounced Puglia as in million, not Puglia.
Okay. Oh no, I sent it to somebody one time. They're like, "Oh, Puglia, Italy." I'm like, "No." I was like, "It's Puglia." And it's like, this is coming from a guy with an Irish bloodline.
We like to tell people it's the heel of the boot. That's the easiest way also to remember.
Well, but speaking of Irish bloodline, just to sort of get off the topic 1 second, the southern part of Italy, especially Puglia and Sicily, we have an inordinate amount of redheads and blondes and blue eyes, more so than the north has. So people think it's the reverse. But it's because the Norman invasions, at the beginning of the Middle Ages, we just lost sound.
No, I'm still here. I hear you fine.
Something good unplugged.
You guys hear me okay? You guys sound great. So I still hear you. I'll stop screen sharing here and see if these guys can actually hear me. I'll send a little chat over to them. Maybe it's the internet feed. I was still hearing you fine. Getting to our YouTube feeders and podcasts. I mean, these guys are, I think it's 6 hours ahead of us. So now Steve is still dialed in, or else I wouldn't see your name on here. Now your audio dropped away. So I don't know what's going on their end. Now, I actually did get an email for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and backfill because it's my show. So actually, real quick, guys, since I'm talking, I'm going to grab ahead their tin. Oh, this is 3 liters of olive oil. So again, for our YouTube watchers, this is the best way to get it. I'm going to go ahead and throw them a plug. I literally, for our listeners, guys, use my code FUEL, FUEL, and you save 10%. So, and if you guys are followers of Vinny, Vinny's got his own code for his show, Vinny Cappelli, Vinny Twitterich, and his code is Vinny with an IE, so VINNIE. Either way, FUEL, Vinny, doesn't matter. We want you guys to get healthy and want you guys to save money. And this is, I know some people love other countries' olive oil, but this is legit, guys. Like, this is amazing. The peppery finish is phenomenal. You guys back on yet?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
sorry.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I started giving you guys a plug and a commercial. I grabbed the 3-liter tin and thought I'd show it off for the video feed since it was so far away in the backdrop. Still hear me all right? Where are you guys going? See, this is why I wanted video, because I want to see what's happening over there. Anyway, to our listeners, guys, as I was hinting, these guys are about, I think they're 6 hours ahead of us. As you already heard earlier in the show, they're in the boot of Puglia, Italy. So I'm here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, 1 hour north of Philadelphia in the East Coast. So this is East Coast talking, I guess it would be into the future since they're ahead of us. But actually, and for our YouTube watchers, I'm going to go ahead and reshare. I was showing photos of their villa. So when you go to villacappelli.com, and actually, I went ahead, it looks like it clicks over to a separate website. So villacappelli.com is obviously their olive oil, their products, and their salts and everything else. And then when you click on stay at the villa, looks like it takes you over to a separate site, and it's like vcvillarental.com. Whatever. I would just use villacappelli.com because you're going to find everything on there anyway. But the cool thing is you literally get to see how massive this villa is. They got a pool, and they've got, like, obviously living areas because they want people to stay there. And I've seen stuff online. I'm going to stop sharing in case these guys are messaging me again. And you were there, and then you were back. You were gone. So again, guys, I promise you, I never edit these shows. I want to keep things real. Sometimes technical issues happen. So I don't know what's happening over there. They're still connected. You're still showing connected. So anyway, I hear sounds again.
Right. Are we here?
You guys back?
I think so.
Do you think it's the internet connection?
No, it's something on.
Okay, so you're still getting the video through fine and everything? It's okay. Now, Steve, you sound very far away, and Paul sounded really good, but maybe you guys are moving around over there.
Can you hear me?
Somebody sounds a little staticky. That might have been Paul. Hello, this is Paul. Yeah, and you sound very far away. You're like literally, I don't know if our listeners will be able to hear it, but I barely even hear you. So I don't know if it's a connection issue or if your gains got turned down. Again, with the soundboard, it's really easy. You just literally, I mean, if you got like a mixer board, I just unplug jacks and plug them back in, make sure the jack connections are good, and then you just double check the gains, and it's usually pretty easy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're real. All right, Paul, you sound amazing now.
Okay.
Right. Is that better for me too?
And Steve's good too. Yeah. What happened?
Right. So sorry.
No. I was just joking around with our listeners that I don't edit because I want people to understand that, dude, we're out here hustling and trying to get things done. And like, this is the real world. Like, you guys are running an olive oil company and you're 6 hours ahead of me. And I'm here in Pennsylvania, and it's like this is the real show, man. I don't like people I don't like podcasts that are just so perfect that you don't know what's happening.
And we're farmers, not audio engineers.
Thank you. So actually, we're all unofficial audio engineers.
Yes.
I get very techie, but did you guys figure out what actually went wrong over there?
Something came unplugged, and then and it messed everything up. Basically, that's
awesome. I love it. There you go. So our listeners, guys, if you are striving to become a podcaster, feel free to reach out to Steve and Paul, and they'll be happy to train you.
Yes. We'll be happy to tell you what not to do.
I love it. Well, I mean, because honestly, and real quick, just to stay off subject real quick, this is how you learn. I mean, honestly, you guys have had a podcast show for how long?
It's probably like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not super consistent as much as we should be, but
no, but because you got a farm to run, you got a villa to run. You guys are running, weddings and people's vacations, and I mean,
there's a wedding going on right now in Puglia. By the way, it was big news down here.
Oh yeah, I saw that on your social media. Like that's right. I guess the guy, the father, was like owns the properties that a lot of very well-off people own here in New York City or something. And
he owns the properties that a lot of stores are in, like Giorgio Armani and Ferragamo and all these. So he decides to throw a wedding for his youngest daughter here in Puglia.
It was like 24 million.
Well, 25 million. But
I'm sorry. That's only another million.
And so including a special guest performance that the rumor was that it was going to be Lady Gaga who's going to perform at the wedding.
Well, if you're dropping 25 mil, I think you can afford Gaga.
But actually, a woman in New York that I used to work with, who is also Syrian, who has Syrian descent, just like the father of the bride, she said that multiple performers, and what she believes is that Lady Gaga and Madonna are going to perform.
Okay, that would be ridiculous. Well, have those two ever performed together?
I don't think so.
know.
Because, like, honestly, if you had to pick two extremes from different generations, that would be an amazing match.
Yeah, but yeah, from what I've read in the past, I think they both respect each other, and I think Madonna does sort of treat her that way, as though, Lady Gaga is, what Madonna used to be when she was younger. So I think there's a lot of respect.
I mean, Madonna broke all the rules. I mean, she's one of those people who changed her industry and influenced people like her.
What I've always said about Madonna that makes me respect her even more. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not like a crazy Madonna fan, but yeah, I do like her music. But what I always respected about her is that she is the only megastar, I mean, really super megastar, right, that I can think of who has never been embroiled in a scandal unless it was created by herself.
Yes, she was very good at creating her own drama, but it wasn't. It was
no drugs, none of that. Yeah,
and I think the drama that was created might have even been tactical. Maybe there was some.
Exactly.
She's a very intelligent woman, and she's done a lot of interesting things that maybe people don't understand. But it's like, I have a feeling a lot of that was probably a game plan. Yeah,
and talking about health and fitness and fuel. How does she still do it at 60 years of age?
Is that how old she is now?
She's 60.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hot 60.
Yeah,
I mean,
damn.
wow. I knew she was getting up there. I mean,
Yeah.
really, let's be real. Hold on. Nowadays, 60 doesn't necessarily have to symbolize up there. So I want to correct myself.
Exactly. I mean, I'm 62, by the way.
Okay.
So.
I think my I'll be 40 this month. My parents.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, later in the month. One week at a time. But I think my parents are. Oh man, I'm really being a bad son right now. Might be like 67. So yeah.
That's right.
But I mean, no one in my family looks like me as far as how you fuel your lifestyle. Like everybody has they call it the Mulvaney gene because my last name is Mulvaney. Or if you go to Northern Ireland, it's pronounced Mulvaney. But everybody's a little bit bigger. I'll just say that. And I tell people this whole gene thing is BS. Like it's a lifestyle. You can reprogram and re-outfit your life with a healthy lifestyle. I mean, I think the Italians exude it exponentially, in Italy, not here. not a lot of the US based Italians do a very good job.
But you know what's kind of sad here in Italy right now is you see young people, teenagers and younger. They're starting to look a lot more like American kids. I mean,
because they're drawn to us, and
exactly.
It frustrates me because and again, I'm not to stroke our country's ego, but we have influenced a lot of positive but also negative change in the world. And I think we, as a country, need to take some more accountability for that because a lot of the younger generations, especially the millennials, they're very impressionable. And that's one of the audiences I'm trying to influence with this show. Because I'm the next generation. I'm older. So it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to take some responsibility as Generation X or Y or whatever we are and say, okay, let's give back. Let's provide them some of that mentoring and that coaching and that guidance.
Yeah. I mean, when my kids come here, my kids are between 29 and 24, basically, 3 kids. What I've always tried to teach them when they come out here to the farm is, I'll take them out into the fields. And I've been taught by the older men and women here, people who are in their 70s and 80s who still go out into the fields, but into the meadows basically where we pick wild greens from the fields.
Sure.
So that you can make your own soups and broths and all healthy stuff, and it's filled with iron. Because the great thing about living here and sort of living off the land, if you will, is that you really feel like if the whole world goes to hell, right, you'll never starve.
I would agree. You have a very rich countryside.
Exactly. And as long as you don't poison it. Because even when I take or I go into the fields or we go mushroom hunting up in the hills, you have to be careful even in the local fields here that you're not picking stuff where there's a lot of yellow grass because it's been it's herbicides.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I try to explain to people how, like, here in the U.S., we're all about, again, I'm a sales and marketing professional, so it's like, okay, I get the term all natural, the term like paleo for paleo diets and keto for ketogenic, and then we go into the organic world, and it's like, guys, like, the organic standard in a lot of countries doesn't need to exist. When I was a kid, we didn't spray stuff on our fields. The animals ate the food. And then, because I literally drove like it was an old Farmall tractor. It was a rust-colored tractor. There was no hydraulics or anything to drive the damn thing. It was old. Like, I had a mechanical accelerator, and we'd hook up the shit spreader. I'm literally talking farm talk, and you just took it out into the field and you spread the manure on the field. So that's what I got to do at like 14, 15 years old. So,
well, it's the same thing here when people talk about organic versus non-organic, because I think most of us by this point know that in the U.S. especially, the big industrial food giants have lobbied so heavily with the government entities that organic isn't what organic used to mean. I mean, if any of you have read,
it's a badge that you pay for.
Omnivore's Dilemma.
Yeah, if you've read Omnivore's Dilemma, I mean, the dairy farmers got the government to approve organic milk as long as cows have, quote unquote, access to pasture. All they need is access, a door. They don't have to walk out that door onto the pasture. As long as the cow can see the pasture, it's organic.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people don't know, and I don't want to get, well, we can geek a little bit on this. For example, you never put hormones into a cow when we were kids because a cow would produce milk only when it was calving. Right, you were bringing a new life form into this world, just like human beings. We're all mammals. This isn't rocket science. Right. So, how do you get an animal to produce milk year round? You confuse its natural hormonal process and inject hormones and stimulants in there to make them produce milk year round. So, So then obviously you should be fueling that animal properly with, like, for example, I said this on a podcast the other night. I was talking about how our fields, we did crop rotation. When I was a kid, we studied that. And again, I'm on the East Coast here. I'm not like in redneck, no offense, Montana or Idaho or those other states. I mean, there's other states that are very big into ranching and everything nowadays. But I mean, we grew alfalfa in the fields. We weren't growing corn every other year. We weren't feeding a ton of grain. Like they would either be in the pasture or we would feed them alfalfa in the middle of the wintertime. Like we would stock our barn with bales and bales of hay, not straw. If you're a beginner lister, hay is green, straw is a bedding, it's yellow. So animals will not eat straw. But the point is we grew it. And then we outsourced to one of my dad's customers on a nearby farm. He did the actual farming process on the fields. We just raised animals. So they come in and then they would just pay us with a couple loads of hay to keep our barn stocked for the winter to get us through until the next season. So it was really, really simple, not rocket science.
Well, it's the same thing here. You know, what I was going to say earlier about the organic stuff. A lot of people here kind of scoff at organic. I think they scoff at it a little too much because it is useful. But as you were saying earlier, if I have an olive grove and the guy next to me has an olive grove and I am going all organic, but the guy on my left and on my right are spraying herbicides and pesticides and putting stuff into the earth that is not organic. I mean, there's leaching and there's air, there's everything else that, you can't really guarantee that stuff is going to be as organic as you think it might be.
No.
And also to explain it a little more for people who might not understand the way the groves and the olive groves work here. I mean, Puglia has 60 million olive trees. So literally you're just driving along, there are olive tree after olive tree after olive tree. And so there might be a little bit of a stone wall separating properties, but sometimes there's not even that. So it's just a land full of olive trees. It's not like you think of a farm that has its, a fence up and a separated, division of land. It's just lands full of olive groves. So
the way you can tell one plot of land from someone else's is just by the way either the grass has been cut or by how the field has been plowed.
True. Yeah. So you do different driving patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because like here in central Pennsylvania, my father and my brother are still involved in that industry. They're just more of a cattle broker now. With separate businesses, but they purposely moved years ago out to central Pennsylvania because it's probably an hour and a half for me, depending on whose house I'm visiting. But they're focused in the Amish and the Mennonite culture, which is more heavily densely populated in central Pennsylvania because that's where all the farming is. And the same thing exists in Ohio and other states. But there wasn't a history of organic labeled farming out there.
Right.
But my father, he's not getting any younger, but he's realized in the past 2 years, he has completely switched to only buying and selling organic cattle because even the Amish and Mennonite, they might be an older culture, right? They still got the horse and buggy thing, etc. But they've realized, there's a higher dollar value, per pound of meat or per pound of milk, etc. So we should probably start doing this. So now my dad doesn't have to work as hard because of the higher value, and he can create some more lifestyle freedom thanks to this. So there's definitely some other positive side effects of this creation of this branding and this stuff. But I agree with you guys. Like organic is not perfection. I tell people if you have a chance to find something locally sourced and it doesn't have the organic label, it's still probably better than what's in the grocery store that's been shipped from Guatemala and sitting on a ship for a week.
Absolutely, and not to mention the pollution that you're causing just by shipping it to wherever. I mean, do you really, if you live in the northern hemisphere, do you really need to eat cherries at Christmas time?
No. Well, you see, a lot of us, we forgot that. We have all this, especially here in the USA. We have built an amazing logistics.
It's Italy too. Don't worry, it's in
Europe. Oh, okay.
Too. Yeah, and people will pay $30 a pound for cherries to have cherries at Christmas. It's like, why?
No, but some of that is here. I wouldn't disagree with you, because I think what Italians, at least down here in our small town, what they do very, very well is eat seasonally. I mean,
okay, all right.
Yeah. I mean,
which is the way it always was.
Exactly. I mean, you do find a few like tomatoes in the winter for hothouse tomatoes, that kind of thing. But like after the cherry season is done in May, we don't see cherries. I mean, like you said, at Christmas time they import them and some people buy them, but you can't find them year round here by any stretch of them. And so like the summer, now we're eating zucchini and eggplant because that's what's in season.
Mm-hmm.
Melons or the squashes and that kind of stuff are not in season, and you won't find it anywhere.
Right.
I mean, it's the same to some degree in the supermarkets, I think, in the States, but it just seems like people, not quite as much. If they want a squash, it should be there any time of the year.
Right. But being, I guess, farmers and having a large place here, one of the things we're learning now also is what farmers have always done throughout history, where there were like cassava melons are in season now. Here they cost like 5 cents a pound. If you take those and put them down in your cool cellar, we put them in our wine cellar, they'll last from now until Christmas.
Really?
Yes. So you have melons all fall and half the winter. It's the same that people used to do with apples and potatoes and onions.
Well, it's funny because so I was born and in New Jersey. My dad had a dairy farm down there. So we did actually have a large farm at one point in time, but I was too young to really remember. And then we moved to Pennsylvania years later. I think it was like 5th grade. And then my dad wanted to make sure we still grew up on a farm. So our farm was probably built, it was the old wood peg beam design. It was really cool. It's still there to this day. Some landscaping company owns it. But the basement was all dirt, very cold. I remember having to take cinder blocks and like 2x6 boards down there and build shelves because my mom was a nut for canning. Right. And, pressure cooker, mason jar thing. Now all of a sudden mason jars are trendy and people give them away at a wedding. I'm like, okay, that's thanks. But I was like, I grew up with that. I was like, I used to stick, cucumbers in there and make pickles. I mean,
but I'll have you know that this is the first summer where we've actually made more pickles than we can possibly eat.
Well, let's be real. You get a little bit of rain, those cucumber plants, it's a vine. It will grow like a raped ape. I mean, just.
But guess what? All our vines have dried because we haven't had rain. We haven't had a significant amount of rain since March.
Oh, wow.
And we've had 2.5 months of weather temperatures that have been hovering between the 90s and low hundreds.
So would you consider you guys self on the edge of like a drought condition?
Yeah. The farm associations here have already applied to the government for relief for drought because this is supposed to be a great year for grapes, which means it's a great year for wine because grapes don't want a lot of water. Less water they get, the higher the sugar content of the grape. The higher the sugar content of the grape, the higher the alcohol volume of the wine. Because if you make wine that is like below 10% alcohol content, it turns to vinegar very easily.
Yes.
So our wine is usually between 12, 13. We've even been as high as 14 and a half. I think once you get to 15, if you exceed 15% in your wine, it then becomes a fortified wine.
Okay.
But so everyone was psyched for a great grape and then grape harvest and vintage. But there's been so little rain that a lot of the grapes are withering on the vine, literally.
So I had a quick question on that because I'm my fiance, huge wino. I mean, girl loves her wine. And so last June was our friends were getting married in the mountains of California. I spent years ski race coaching together with them. So we all went out and finally got a taste of Napa Valley. And obviously they're world renowned. But from that experience, I learned just what you're saying, that obviously wine plants don't always need a lot of rain. And they tell you the older the vine, the deeper the roots, the more, I guess, strong it's built itself up. Now, are olive plants similar to that?
Not really. I mean, I think that the better olive trees, the ones that produce better olives, grow in I don't know what we call the type of soil in the States, but it's basically a lime. Where here we only have like maybe 2 feet of topsoil, 1.5 feet of topsoil, and then it becomes this sandstone, limestone, which is fossilized basically.
Wow.
So the roots are not deep. The roots are almost like pine tree roots.
Yeah.
They spread out, and that's why when you're planting olive trees, you have to make sure that you plant them enough apart so that each tree can really get its full potential of nourishment for when it does rain.
Yeah, and we're not talking about just water. Again, going back to our topic earlier, like the whole organic thing, we're talking about being able to get enough nutrient density into the plant because those nutrients are then carried into the fruit.
Exactly. Funny thing is that my mother's side of the family, who comes from this town, Terlizzi, where we live and produce our olive oil, her last name is Tempesta, right? Like tempest, like storm. But her father, my grandfather, all the families in these towns also have nicknames, sort of like when you watch a mobster movie, like Vinny the Barber and Joey the Butcher.
Yeah. That's cool.
But that's also where most last names come from. I mean, people didn't have last names. That's a modern thing.
Yeah, my fiance's last name is Fenstermacher, which translated is, I believe, window maker.
Exactly. And, Cooper is there were barrel makers, right? A Cooper was someone who made wine barrels and whiskey barrels.
Okay.
So everyone here, though, has these really, some of them are really weird, nasty, what they call soprannomi, surnames, along with their last name. And my grandfather's family were known as dirt eaters. So we're wondering, like, what the hell what do you mean dirt eaters? Because it also sounds like land eaters. So we thought maybe they were buying up a lot of land and this and that and the other. It turns out that the men in the family were known for going out. People would basically hire them to come onto their land, and they
improve farming.
Yes, but they would taste the soil and tell you what to plant in what part of your land, because they could taste.
Get the hell out of here.
I swear to God. They could taste the alkaline, they could taste the phosphorus, they could taste all these different elements that were in the dirt, and they would tell you, the beans go there, the tomatoes go there. That's how they used to do it. They didn't have.
And again, to us, I'll be asked, like a lot of our listeners, I'm like, what? But I guess they basically developed their palate to be sensitive to minerals.
Because what do wine connoisseurs talk about?
Sure. These sommeliers and all these guys.
Sommeliers, right? It's like, the cherry, the this, the that.
The same thing happens with olive oil, by the way.
Yeah.
The olive oil sommeliers, they can taste it and say, "Oh, I taste a little tomato."
I wouldn't mind becoming one of them.
Yeah, I know. It's an interesting skill the way they do it.
Yeah, but I think people today can also, if you were hard pressed, you could probably taste the more basic elements like copper or iron.
Sure.
So that's what these guys did. They were the dirt eaters.
Yeah. I have hard water here in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We're an hour north of Philadelphia. I used to live in the next city over, the historic city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where there's where
Jesus was born.
Well, yeah, but except we're here in the U.S. But we had, there was a massive company, spent years here, called Bethlehem Steel. And it went for 2 miles. And they sent steel all over the world. Their steel built the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco and the Empire State Building. There was a lot of old history. So it's funny because I used to live in downtown Bethlehem before I moved here to Allentown in the past couple of years to, finally build a loving relationship with somebody. So since I was the bachelor forever. And so Bethlehem's water, I don't know if they're just using softening processes or what, but it's city water, but it comes from reservoirs very far north of here. I don't know how Allentown sources their water, but it sucks. So I have to constantly, we have what's called hard water.
Yeah.
But I can I could taste it. It's just not good. So I've actually upgraded to some higher end like water filtration, because not to remove the minerals. I'm not trying to remove the minerals. I'm just trying to get the bad stuff out, but keep the good stuff. And it's a really hard balance. It's becoming a side project for me.
Well, we go through hot water heaters.
Yes. Same here.
Every 2 years.
You get it's a white calcium buildup.
Exactly.
I'm not a plumber, but I literally had to save my water heater this winter. One of my clients is in the HVAC industry, and one of the products that her sales rep firm represents is a descaler. So you descale, tankless water heaters, regular waters, whatever. So anyway, we lost hot water. I was coming back from skiing, and my fiance's like, "Hey, we don't have hot water." So I was like, I knew about the product. It was sitting in their office. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can figure this thing out. Took that thing home. Granted, it took me like 3 hours to one night. Drained the whole water heater. Ran this chemical through the system to try and descale it, and then change the heating elements in the top and the bottom of a 50-gallon water heater. Well, Mr. MacGyver here figured it out and put the new heating elements in after I descaled the whole system, and the water heater still works to this day. So, little pat on the back from me, because I was like, I figured that one out.
and what's the best descaler?
Salt.
Salt.
Really?
Vinegar, I think.
No. Salt.
Well,
all those filters have salt.
So real quick on the filtration, yes. As a plumber,
right.
Guys are either using a sulfuric acid-based thing, which is way too aggressive and dangerous.
Right.
So they have switched over to trying to use vinegar-based product. But then the vinegar takes forever, and it stinks, and it's just very laborsome. So the one chemical that I used was actually a phosphoric acid-based product. So it's odorless. It does not eat away at the metal. And I was able to add a little baking soda to it. And we're getting very scientific to our listeners, guys. I mean, listen to this crap. I mean, look at us, man. It's like science class. But I added baking soda to alkalize it, and it was safe to dump it right down the drain.
Huh.
Can you come do our stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there we go. So let's tell you what. I will time my first Italian trip. You just got to send me a text like, hey, you know what? Water heater is about to get plugged up. We're going to need you to come out and descale it. Could you just fly over the pond? Yeah. Although, hey, I don't care, because I told my fiance, because we just got engaged a couple months ago, and we're currently planning. I don't want boring weddings. I know you guys throw very amazing weddings, but I'm the adrenaline junkie and the outdoorsy nut. So I didn't have to convince her. She agreed, and her mother-in-law, because she grew up in a skiing family, loved the idea. We're going to go heli skiing.
Wow.
For the wedding. So, and then we'll just throw like an after party afterwards here in Pennsylvania. But the problem is, I was like, hey man, we should go heli skiing in Europe, but there's no heli skiing in Europe. Really? Apparently it's like a no-no or something. I don't know. Huh. Like she went skiing for the first time in France last year. I wasn't able to make that trip. So I said, well, I want to go to Villa Cappelli. So I'm trying to convince her to do like a honeymoon there. I don't know.
There you go.
I'm working on it. So.
And you could do the actual, the legitimate legal ceremony wherever you want, and then come here and just do like a reenactment.
Yeah, it'd be fun too. There you go. Yeah. Like a little private thing. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. So anyway, it's not gonna be this winter because I need time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it took me. I'll be 40 this month, so it's like I take my good old time. But I told her, like, listen, give me this winter. I was like, if you want to start planning, we'll do it as early as next winter. And she's like, well, that was going to happen no matter what.
Well, my oldest daughter, who lives in San Diego, came to visit. Excuse me. Came to visit this year with her boyfriend. They live together in San Diego. He's a captain of a pretty big fishing boat, and also has his own fishing boat. Really, really nice guy.
Wow.
So when they came here, from here, they wanted to go to the Amalfi Coast. So I said, okay, I'll drive you out there. It's like a 2.5, 3-hour drive. So I drove out there. We went to lunch. I went outside for a breath of fresh air. Cigarette, actually.
Come on.
I know, shut up. For breath of fresh air. And so Matt, my daughter's boyfriend, fiance, whatever he is.
It's my younger brother's name.
Yeah. He comes out and he says, Mr. Cappelli, I know this is sort of the end of our trip. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to do this, but I just want you to know that I really, really, really love your daughter. I would love to spend the rest of my life with her. I would love to marry her, but I want to ask your permission. I haven't asked her yet, but I wanted to get your permission first. I was like, am I living in the 1800s?
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe that people. I was thrilled that guys would still do that.
I'm not trying to one up it, but I mean, I'm old school. I was people like when I was dating people over the years, I'm old school. Like my dad taught me to open the door for a woman.
Yeah,
and I've always done that. I don't care who the woman is. If someone's walking up to the door, I stop and I open the door. I do it for men. I don't care. Yeah. Now, granted, I have a few of my buddies are also, homosexual, and I don't care about their lifestyles. And I'll open the door for them. They're like, "You trying to hit on me?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're a good-looking guy," but we have fun with it. But the point is, like, dude, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, transsexual. It's just showing
respect,
not just respect. See, that used to be my answer. I'm like, how about just good old human kindness?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Or even just showing people that you were brought up in a
right. Yeah. Like my family, again, as you could tell, farmers, whatever, like we're not a well-off family. And my fiance's family built a very successful construction company, and like they're building like a 12-story, like her brother and her cousin are now like basically taking over the family business, and they're building like a 12-story glass, like I guess you want to call it a skyscraper for Allentown, in downtown Allentown. So they're moving up, man. He drives he's got a freaking Maserati for his fun car and a Tesla, but he's still a down to earth guy.
Yeah,
and
I mean, that's sort of what we do down here as well. Because we live out in the middle of nowhere on this farm. Yeah, but there are other people around who have little houses and their little plots of land.
Sure.
But what we've done from the very beginning is learn from the older people who are here, the older people who lived a completely different lifestyle than we did. 70 years ago, no, not even 60 years ago, 55 years ago, people in this town, the town is 1,000 years old, right? They had no plumbing.
Yeah.
So they used basically, excuse me for saying so, shit pots.
You don't have to excuse it. That was where all of our cultures came from. There was outhouses and shit pots and some people.
And what's happening today is, we have a lot of old recipes that we use to make our products, and even when we cook in the house for our guests who come stay here, we still like to cook as much as possible old school. We sometimes mix in a little bit of our American culture and heritage in with it, which makes it even a little more interesting. But people say to us, "Oh my God, I mean, the old women here will give you their secret recipes," and they will. But you know why? Because a lot of the younger people don't want them,
which is foolish.
Yeah.
I mean,
because they now have McDonald's.
Which is, I'm not even getting me on. That's a whole different podcast. But I mean, what you're talking about, and real quick, just to rewind back to your point on your future, I'm guessing, right? Future son, you said yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Is like
future son-in-law. Yeah.
Son-in-law. Yeah. So
I just hope he's not listening to this podcast.
I know.
Oh yeah, crap. Well, I mean, just don't tell her about Live the Fuel yet. So, but the point is he going to be doing it soon?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, come on, man. We're all excited here.
Exactly. It's like, hello.
I mean, even I finally proposed to somebody. For God's sakes, I mean, if Scott's going to do it, you got to man up, bro.
Yeah.
Just tell him to call me. I'll
tell him how to do it.
I was like, listen, I mean, but again, just show the old school respect. It's just, we did a lot of geeking out about history today on the show already. And like, that's part of it, right? It's like, dude, know where things came from. You don't have to make it complicated.
It's what we tell people about our olive oil. People are always asking, so how can you tell what's a good olive oil and what isn't? And unfortunately, you can't by looking at the bottle or the package, because here's a couple of things. One is, because of lobbying in Italy, just like lobbying anywhere else, the bottling lobby has convinced the government that if you take olive oil, from anywhere else in the world and bottle it in Italy, on the label, you can, big honking letters, you can say 100% Italian extra virgin olive oil.
Oh, I learned that from Vinny. That's total BS.
Yeah, because, and then in really small letters, if they're somewhat honest, they'll say, read the back label for the origin of the oil. And then you read the back label and it'll have like 4 countries, like Morocco, Tunisia, Greece, Spain, Israel, one of these countries. So it's like, how the hell can it be called Italian?
So they're basically doing it to justify businesses to say, hey, ship your product here, we will bottle it. And they want the bottling business, they want the tax income and all that. I get it. It's big business.
Absolutely, that's what it is. I mean, all the big companies, when you read these stories in the newspapers all the time about oil that's been, extra virgin olive oil that's been doctored and is anything but extra virgin olive oil, you know why? It's just a big business. And what we tell people all the time is just do the math. How can you possibly buy?
It's not possible.
it's impossible for like, $5, $10 for a bottle. Yeah. It's virtually impossible because oil is not that cheap. Oil is expensive. Extra virgin olive oil is expensive. So by the time you bring it back to your factory, we'll just call it a factory. We hardly have a factory. You got to pay for the bottle. You got to pay for the label. You got to pay for the transportation. You got to pay for the man hours. You got to make a profit. Then if you're selling it wholesale to a supermarket, like that's what we're talking about, people buying oil in supermarkets.
Oh, yeah.
They got to make a profit. So how the hell is it possible that you can buy it for $10? It's impossible. There's just no way there's extra virgin olive oil in that bottle.
Well, and like for our video feed right now, and again, this is not for our listeners, guys. This is not a freaking commercial. We're trying to help shed some light on not on the business. Yeah, people need to understand the business. Like, I tell people all the time, go to livethefuel.com. You can click on resources. There's the Villa Cappelli logo. It'll take you to the site. I got my own discount code just like Vinny does. So again, our listeners, you can use fuel. Heck, you can use Vinny with the IE on the end. I don't care. We want you guys to try this stuff because Paul just told you.
It's the real deal.
It's real, bro.
And people will say to me, yeah, but places like Costco, for example.
Yeah. I go to Costco once in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, Costco gets a high rating from your olive oil tasters.
It doesn't get a high rating. It gets a rating that it is extra virgin olive oil.
Well, I think Vinny and Anna, because let's be real, they're trying to be transparent. They're trying to help people get healthy, just like I am. Yeah, so, exactly. Okay, great. Maybe you're not ready for this yet, or maybe you're just. I don't know. You're just an idiot. Sorry. But it's like, guys, like, all right, you want to go to Costco? Go to Costco. Because I will say, Anna and Benny did say, I've never bought it, but they said if a good runner-up is however they're sourcing that. I don't know where they're getting it from.
Well, I think we figured it out what happened with this. Because somebody finally told us, if you look at the dates, the harvest date, it's about 2 years old.
At least 2 or 3 years.
So, is that good or bad?
No, that's
not
bad.
The expression in Italy is new oil, old wine.
Oh, okay. Which makes sense. You want stuff fresh. That's like, I know your claim to fame is that you guys, it's only, if it's not from your farm, it won't be sold. I can personally attest that I'm showing right now on the video feed the 3-liter tin, which I've also already showed on the video. I literally have it sitting right here. It's $100. You get your 10% off. And then because you guys are awesome with the free shipping thing, as long as you spend over $100, you get free shipping. So, okay, that breaks out to be $30 or less per liter. Right. And as you already hinted, if you buy the high-end organic stuff, especially if it's fresh, you're dropping $25 to $30 US per liter.
And even more. I mean, if you're buying, the ones that are most talked about and get the highest reviews, I mean, you can pay $50, $60 for a liter easily.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Especially if someone's got better marketing.
Right. Exactly. But ours is unfiltered, so that you will find sediment sometimes, especially a 3-liter tin, because
I like the sediment. That's that ground up seeds.
Exactly. That's the oil. That's the olives. That's the fruit. So think of it always as you're buying fruit juice.
Now, what about because a few months ago I scored your garlic oil, and then finally, Vinny's been and
I can't keep up with the production on that.
And Anna is all about the freaking lemon oil. So I was like, all right, I finally got the lemon. By the way, I just poured this straight on my salad with nothing else, the lemon oil. Holy crap, that's awesome.
Well, what you should be pouring on your salad is our new artisanal red wine vinegar.
Okay, here's the thing, because I'm a big supporter of NSNG, right? No sugar, no grains.
Right.
So I have been experimenting with your olive oil with that before I had the lemon oil and before I had the garlic oil. I was just using the regular olive oil. And I was experimenting with coconut vinegar from coconuts. Right. Didn't even know that existed, but I found it. Yeah, so they make vinegar somehow from coconuts. So, But I thought balsamic vinegar, at least
No. Hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Stop.
Is that the problem?
Question.
What?
Let him finish his question.
No, because I know where he's going already.
Well, I know where he's going too. A balsamic vinegar, like sold by a lot of restaurants or even high-end ones, has a very sweet, sugary base. But you're hinting at more of a wine-based vinegar, right?
Yes, we sell two different types of vinegar. One is balsamic.
Right. Let me go back to screen sharing.
Right.
Because I want to make sure we visually understand this. All right, there we go. That's the oil and balsamic vinegar set. That's a balsamic.
Exactly. So if you like balsamic vinegar, because
and then there's your red wine.
That's right. So they're two different animals completely. I'll try to give you a quick rundown on how to use them and how they're made.
Okay.
Right? So the way you're supposed to use balsamic vinegar is not the way we use it a lot in the U.S. You do not pour balsamic vinegar on your salad.
No, it's a couple of droplets, right? For flavor?
But never in your salad.
Oh.
It's mostly for desserts and fruit.
Oh, interesting.
The best, even cheese too.
Yes, or cheese. The best use is a drop on like fresh strawberries.
To balance the sweetness, right?
Yes, because there is acidity in it, but it also has this different sweetness to it. So what happens is, just like doctored extra virgin olive oil, which isn't extra virgin olive oil at all, balsamic vinegar that you buy by the big jug is not balsamic vinegar at all. It's made with molasses.
Yes. Which is why I don't support that stuff anymore, because I want to reduce my sugar intake.
Exactly. But whereas the balsamic vinegar, like ours, it says 5 year, but we just found out it's actually 8 year aged. It's made in 5 barrels, what they call a battery. So they start with a larger barrel, but it's only like 5 gallons, right? They leave it uncorked.
I'm going to zoom in on this puppy. There we go. Look at that.
So then every year they leave the bung hole open. Excuse me.
I learned about bung holes in Ireland. It's okay. It's not an inappropriate term. It's the hole in the barrel.
Whiskey barrel. Oh, the whiskey barrel.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the bung is that sort of big cork they use to close the bung hole. Right. That's the bung.
Okay.
So they leave that open so it can evaporate. But balsamic vinegar, though, can only be made in northern climates, and it's not like the way you make regular vinegar. Regular vinegar is made in the cellar. Balsamic vinegar is made under your rooftop.
Oh, in the hotter part of the home where the heat rises.
No, not only that, but it has to be hot during the day, and the temperature has to drop rapidly at night.
Okay.
And that's how that certain type of bacteria grows.
Interesting.
Create that vinegar. And then as it evaporates in each barrel, they bring it down to the next barrel in the battery until they're left with this tiny little bit, which sells for a lot of money, rightfully so, because it takes a long time to make it.
Okay.
The red wine vinegar that I'm talking about, the artisanal red wine vinegar, is actually made from our red wine.
Am I not looking at that right now? Because this just says red wine.
Yes. Yes, that's the one.
Artisanal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's made from what we call Trojan grapes. According to legend, this grape stock was brought here to the northern part of Puglia, before it was Puglia, by the Trojans when they escaped the destruction of Troy by the Greeks.
Great history.
So it was planted here. The wine is called Nero di Troia, Black of Troy. That's the wine that we make here in the house. And now what we've done is we've taken some of that and we put it in 100-liter silos with a mother yeast, which is a blob that it usually forms at the bottom of wine barrels.
Yes. That
turns into vinegar. And that's what that is. And it's almost impossible to find artisanal, real red wine vinegar, because even red wine or white wine vinegar, guess what? It's made from chemicals, not wine.
Well, I've been off of the vinegar for 3 months now, so I guess I know what I'm going to be trying next.
Yeah, the red wine vinegar. I mean, I guess it has a slight bit of sugar content from the wine, but
well, yeah. You see, all right. Let's be real. Let's be real.
The sugars are gone.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Steve. Because, well, hold on. Maybe you guys can clarify this, because I just got done writing an article that's going to go into a magazine here lately. I'm actually really excited. Like, I'm like, oh, it'll be my first time being published in a magazine. Cool. Wow. But I promote the NSNG lifestyle. So I kept the article high level. I didn't want to go, as my fiance looked at it last night before I sent it in. She's like, Scott, you get really obsessed and crazy about this stuff. She's like, I think you listen to Vinny too much. But so I kept a high level, and I explained that my lifestyles that I research and I implement are a balance between my NSNG influence, the no sugar, no grains, the Paleolithic influence, the paleo diet, if you want to call it that way. I hate the word diet because it's a short-term mindset. And like ketogenic, I incorporate fasting and all that types of stuff. So anyway, long story short, yeah, to my listeners, guys, I drink red wine. That is I've actually taken this past year off of fruit altogether just to see what it would do. Because I get that crazy about my biohacking experiences. But I tell people, like, yeah, when I'm not fasting and not doing my, like, getting ready for like a race like I'm doing tomorrow, I am drinking red wine. Right. So I don't drink a whole bottle.
Right, exactly.
So, but I would like to think that the red wine is different. Now, what Steve was just saying about sugar being removed, now we're not, obviously traditional wine, it still has sugar in it. Right. You guys are referring to, there's minimal sugar left in
the vinegar.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert on the vinegar.
Well, yeah, we're not biologists.
Yeah, I'm not a nutritionist on that, but I'm pretty sure the vinegar, the process of turning the red wine into the vinegar, it's got to severely reduce the sugar content.
Exactly. It's the acidity that counts.
Because I'm told the same thing happens, or similar things happen when you're distilling scotches, bourbons, things of that nature. Right. The distillation process, like people talk about how, and I don't recommend grain-sourced vodkas, but the distillation process to make gins and vodkas, even if they are grain-sourced, you're not going to have anything carrying over from. Maybe it was an organic field, right? It was a field sprayed with, chemicals, or you have gluten issues. Like all that stuff gets distilled out at that high level.
Right. But here's something that maybe you can look into, Scott, because I have a theory that it should be easy enough to look up for me, but I'm just too lazy to do it. Speaking of wine, right? Because wine is another issue.
I'm ready at the board. Give it to me. I'll write it down.
Is there a legal definition of wine?
Oh, really?
And yeah, because you have elderberry wine.
Never thought about that.
Because why is some wine, like what was Trader Joe's wine?
It used to be called $2 Chuck, and now due to inflation, I call it $3 Chuck.
Right.
And
and when you find out what it's made from, you're going to call it Up Chuck.
Well, so I was like, you can't beat the dollar value, right? I haven't bought it in almost a year because I met a guy who started up a whole juicing cafe and everything else. And it turns out he was a professional guy in the wine industry, buying and selling, distribution, everything. And when I mentioned that, the guy almost had a heart attack in front of me. He's like, no. And I said, why? He said, their whole claim to fame that, was it Charles something is the name on the bottle. Okay. And they said, once all the high-end wineries pick out all the best grapes, we get the second run, so it's still good. That's what I heard.
Right.
Clearly, you guys are saying it's not that.
No, here's another great Italian expression for you. When you're drinking wine and it's really cheap, someone will invariably say to you, did you know that they also make wine from grapes?
Well, I will say, just as a real-life example, this happened with a guest that came here. He bought really cheap wine. I don't know why, because he's a multimillionaire. But anyway, he bought this box wine, and Paul was like, "Well, is that even wine?" He goes, "What do you mean? It says wine on the label. It's wine."
Yeah.
So we turned around to look at the ingredients.
It did not say grape anywhere.
It just said water, and then it started going into all these chemicals.
Okay.
It was not a mention of grapes, grape juice. It was just okay, so what is this then? It was really weird.
So can I put on my label red wine without ever saying that there were grapes, that it's made from grapes?
Yeah, I don't know, because here you go. I mean, again, this is just literally 5 seconds of research, Googling. Found a site, definitions.uslegal.com, and through the wine research, and according to this US, and this is US, by the way, not international, blah, blah, blah. The term wine means any fermented alcoholic beverage that either A, is made from grapes or fruit, B,
fruit, right? There you
right? You have a fruit. B contains not less than 0.5% of alcohol by volume and not more than 24% of volume. So obviously we're looking at the whole alcohol ratio,
right.
And including dilutions and mixtures thereof, et cetera, right?
Right.
And then C is for non-industrial use. So I don't know. Here in the States, I think you might be good.
I think I'm right? That it
Yeah.
can say I'm definitely.
I'm
right.
not a lawyer.
I'm right because it says it can be made from fruit.
Right.
Grapes or any kind of fruit.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could say
it says other fruit.
I can make it from peaches.
I see. If you just say
let
red,
it ferment and add a red dye to it, and guess what? I have red wine.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good
Which
point.
is scary because unfortunately, speaking of dyes.
Yeah.
And by the way, are you guys good on time? Because I don't care. I'm geeking out right now. Okay. Let's talk about freaking dyes because you guys brought up a book earlier. I'm going to bring up a book called Extra Virginity. All right. I'm going to finally, I don't have enough free time, but I want to launch a library on my website, just like Vinny did, because I have so much stuff in my library physically, but my digital audio library through Audible owned by Amazon. Oh my God. So that's how I listened to Extra Virginity 3 times.
Right.
And let's talk about Extra Virginity is for our listeners, guys, is your background information to finally understand what the hell is going on, especially here in the U.S. when it comes to the olive oil industry. So without me freaking out, Steve, Paul, whoever wants to jump in on this, why am I all passionate right now about this?
About what exactly? About olive oil or dyes?
About olive oil and the whole Extra Virginity and how you just brought up dyes, food coloring.
I'll do it real quick. Extra virgin olive oil, which is our olive oil, is just pressed olives. That's all it is. You press the olives, you get oil, you separate it out from the pulp, and you get your oil.
Right.
What's left over, guys, is there's a little.
Well, hold on. Before you go there, though, Stephen, just to explain, by law, even though it's not held up, by law, once you press those olives to get your extra virgin olive oil, nothing can be added to that liquid at all. And, and what, unfortunately, marketing wise, we're taught about first press, cold press, and look for green, right? You know what green means?
At one point, somebody told me it was the color of money.
Paul's jumping ahead again. That's what the problem is. It's like, so after this process, guys, what's left is this. It's literally a little hard pebble. It's a rock. And this is so you think they're gonna throw that away, but what they take these rocks, and there's actually some oil left in them. They ship this off to whatever factory that does this, and they use hexene to extract any oil that's left in these rocks. And so what comes out, it looks basically like crude oil. I personally have not seen it, but that's how he describes it in Extra Virginity. He said it literally looks like black crude oil. So because nobody would ever drink that or use that, they actually then have to bleach that. So they bleach it all out. So then you're left with, no color. So then to make it look like an edible olive oil, they have to put some kind of dye like chlorophyll or some kind of green dye to make it look like an edible oil. I mean, it is edible, but it's just disgusting when you realize what it is.
Well, and this is
some people also add chlorophyll to a slightly better grade of oil because now consumers are being told that if you should look for green olive oil, which isn't the case at all, because when we first squeeze our olive oil, what comes out looks like, no exaggeration, fluorescent split pea soup.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because it hasn't been filtered.
It hasn't been filtered, but it's freshly squeezed juice. Yeah. And what happens, of course.
And this is after you run your stone grinders over that I showed earlier in the show, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so what happens is, like any juice, it oxidizes. And as it oxidizes, it becomes golden. It shouldn't remain green. If it remains green, there's a dye in there.
Well, let's be real. The 2 little bottles I showed in the video earlier, I mean, hold on a second. I'll stop sharing the again, for our listeners, guys, go extravirginity.com. It's a powerful book. The website's more powerful because even after you've done reading the book, he launched the site Extra Virginity, the author, because he wanted people to be able to continue following his initiative to try and clean up the market and get truth. But real quick, I don't really know if you guys can see the colors, but here we go. I'll go up in front of the camera. here's obviously your garlic and your lemon oils, but they're not necessarily green. Like heck, the garlic oil has a really good golden color to it.
Yeah, exactly. Because all it is oxidation, and the longer it stays in the bottle, and the longer you keep it in a dark place, the longer it'll remain green.
Oh yeah, everything stays in a dark cabinet. I learned that from you guys too.
Right. and neither too hot nor too cold.
But if anybody ever, speaking of the harvest, if anybody ever has a chance to visit Puglia or us during the harvest season, to taste that fresh oil coming out. I mean, you think the oil is good when you guys get it. I mean, it's amazing. We have little cups that, little...
It's like a little teacups?
Yeah, we put it under there and take a little shots. And the whole air all around us just smells like freshly pressed olives. It's amazing.
The interesting thing is my fiance can't stand olives.
Oh.
But she has no problem with me cooking with olives. And I know I have to be careful with that because I also learned through a biologist I had on the show that people say, oh, it's okay to cook with olive oil. You got to be careful with that. He said it actually at the high heat, it's nothing like a vegetable oil. But correct, definitely you do not cook with vegetable oils, guys, canolas and all that crap. So olive oil is definitely safer to use, but he still said, listen, at the highest level, you still are still not as good as an animal fat based, cooking solution like butter. Or what's the name for animal fats like beef fat?
Lard,
whatever, right? They have a higher heat temp. So he still says, listen, he's like, I prefer you not cook with olive oil and just pour it on when you're done cooking, like for flavor and stuff like that. Or don't use it for a nonstick surface on a pan. He said,
and if you pour it on, you should pour it on while the food is still hot because the food will absorb it more.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, I just had to jump in with that.
No, but there's another anecdote here about one of these oil sommelier schools, where the teacher puts 10 different shot glasses in front of the students and pours 10 different extra virgin olive oils, one in each shot glass.
Recently, or
it happens in this course.
I think he actually it might be in the book, that story. I mean, you might remember it more, but I remember hearing this somewhere else.
And what the teacher then tells the students is, okay, I want you to taste each one, clear your palate between each shot, blah, blah, taste each one, then write down which one you like most, which one has, what the flavor properties are, what the aromas are. I want you to break down each shot glass of extra virgin olive oil that you taste and tell me why you like one more than the other. And they do that. So after they've done all that, he breaks the news to them. Guess what? There isn't a single olive in any one of those shot glasses that I just gave you.
Wow.
All made from chemicals.
That's interesting. And actually,
it's hard to differentiate, especially for a common consumer. It's impossible palate wise to tell what's extra virgin and what's not extra virgin. I'll track everything down for you guys. That's why I'm glad we're doing screen share. It's a shame you guys don't have a camera, but we're educating people on YouTube right now. So the truth in oliveoil.com is also controlled by the author, Extra Virginity. So I Googled teachers tasting.
Right.
So there's the photo. There's the teacher with all these different glasses, and he's teaching students about, tasting olive oil and everything. So learning the good taste and bad, right?
Right.
So
Right. But getting back to the original question of, how can I tell which olive oil is good, real, authentic, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
The only way, what we tell people is know your producer.
Okay.
And trust your producer. You have to almost know them personally.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because right in this one photo I'm sharing, you're not always going to have somebody standing in front of you, literally hand grinding up the olives and then pressing the juice out in front of you.
Right.
Well, not juice, but oils. I guess it would be a juice, wouldn't it?
It is a juice.
Yeah. It's a fruit, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Juice, fruit, oil. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm again, to our listeners, guys, you guys might not be this geeked out by it, but again, this is, I think I said on a couple of my social media posts, like the nectar of the gods from Villa Cappelli, like, you guys know this stuff, and people do need to understand that there's a difference. I have people who have commented on my posts online and are like, oh, well, you think the Italian olive oil is good, but you got to go to Greece. I'm like, I'm not saying Greece doesn't make good olive oil either. As long as it's pure, coming from the villa, coming from the farm, I could care less.
And what your listeners or what anyone should know, when we harvest our olives and bring it to the mill, we bring the olives to the mill the same day. They don't stay at the mill for more than 48 hours,
right.
Usually a lot less. And when it comes time for our olives to go into the mill, into the press, we, just like everyone else in this town, all the farmers, right, who make their own olive oil, we sit there all night long to watch our olives go into that press, that mill, and come out the other end as extra virgin olive oil. We do not leave. We do not trust anyone to, collect our olive oil after the pressing and then go and pick it up later. We don't trust anyone. We keep an eye on it from the time it goes into the case, into the mill, gets ground, goes into the separator, and comes out the other end as this phosphorescent split pea soup that we then take home.
Is this what I'm looking at right now?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, Steve sent me this file.
Even that one isn't as green as everybody is.
No, but I mean, like, is this a picture of is this tank at your villa?
No.
Oh.
That's the mill that we go to.
That's the mill. Okay.
Yes, that's Antonio Malerba.
Yeah, we were showing the grinders earlier. You can see all the olives like on the wheels here. I mean, now is this also at the mill then, right?
Yes.
Mill,
that's
okay.
mill.
So let me rewind this file real quick because I've been using this throughout the video anyway. But obviously, we show people doing this is obviously how you shaking the olives down or
yes.
It's a hook on the end of that pole, motorized, right?
Yep.
There's a hook on it that hooks onto a branch, and with nets on the bottom, and each of the branches get shaken and the olives fall. The ones that don't fall, you'll see Stephen there in the back, and I think that was you, right, Stephen?
Yeah, and that's you.
And that's me making believe I'm hitting olives off the tree. the last few
well,
olives.
before we had modern engineering to be motorized tool like that. Yeah,
exactly. And that's Cooper. And in the old days, the guys used to, before they had those motorized tools, and they would have to shake the trees and beat the olives off the trees themselves. When they would climb the trees, they would do it barefoot or in stocking feet. Because most shoes had really hard soles on them and heels that could scratch the bark on the trees. So they didn't want to ruin the trees. So they would go up there in November when it's pretty cold out, even here, because you go out early in the morning and go up there with their stocking feet to pick the olives.
Well, it's funny because you're mentioning that because I also actually he's been on Villa's he's been on Vinny's show as well. But this gentleman we've had on both of our shows, he actually has the Pilly Nut company, eatpillynuts.com, and very similar, right? This is a tree nut from the Philippines, and kind of the similar thing here. Like they're going down, they're actually using the nut, the seed from the middle of it. But the same thing you're talking about, he finally started releasing a new YouTube channel. But just like you're talking about, like these tall trees on this guy right here, there you can see this guy like up in the tree. But when they do the nice video, because this is not a good representation that I'm showing you guys, but you can barely see this guy hanging up there, but he's barefoot. So these guys, just like you said, this is a way taller tree, but they're doing it.
Yeah, down south in Puglia, where the trees are much, much bigger. Some of the trees down there are literally 2,000 years old. Wow. But the oil isn't as good. It's a different type of olive. They also let their trees grow taller. Here, where we are, we keep our trees as low as possible, only for harvest reasons.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes it easier to pick the olives from. This, Stephen.
There we go, Steve. Yeah. Put in the workout right there, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
How much does that weigh when you fill those baskets?
It's heavy. I have no idea.
That's I think it's 50 kilos,
100 pounds.
Yeah, 120 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Workout.
No, this is a good shot. Like, so you guys, do you guys use these picks in like educational type of processes, or?
We try to. Yeah.
Nice.
Two of my kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the kids, family business.
Now, is this the daughter or no?
No, that's the other daughter.
Okay, all right.
That's Casey, and he's Logan.
Okay, and then man, that's a lot of net.
Yeah, I mean, they're giant nets under the tree, basically, guys. And you hit the olives, it falls in the net. Then you have to drag that net to the next tree. You hit some more olives, you gather, and then you keep. Until finally, the net's so heavy you can't drag it anymore. So then you gather it up in a big pile, pour it in this bucket, and then take that bucket to your trailer.
Right.
And then you get to the more advanced facility, like the last couple shots here, where
that's the mill. That's Antonio, who owns the mill, the young guy. the older guy, I took a picture of him because he looks exactly like Super Mario.
I like that. So do you guys call him Super Mario then?
No, I don't even know.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, now does this facility support other olive oil companies like yourself?
There really aren't any other olive oil companies around here.
Okay.
It's where the farmers take their olives. But there's like probably 6 of these mills in town.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
the good
impressive.
thing is they're a family-run mill. That's the guys you see in the picture, the brothers. Their father's probably been doing it for a long time. So it's like this. It's nice to kind of team.
Well,
with
they also started out as olive farmers and then decided to build their own mill.
Yeah.
Well, and admittedly, I've been to a number of, when I used to drink beer, brewery tours over the years when I lived in Colorado. I've been to a lot of wineries now, thanks to meeting my fiance, Kristen. And the photos of this facility are just like the really high-end, nice wineries we visited in Napa, man. Everything is stainless steel. It's very clean, concrete. I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other question that people often ask us, so, how much oil do you get from an olive, or how much oil do you get from a tree? So there's really no way to gauge that, right? Because
it depends on how good that tree is, what time of year, right?
Exactly. So what everything is based on is yield. That's how you measure success. So in northern Italy, a good yield is like 10%. Meaning 10% of the weight of the olives is turned into weight of oil, right?
Makes sense.
So, but down here, a good year is like 19. If you do 10% here, you shoot yourself in the head. Yeah.
And dare I ask why? I mean, specifically, why you're shooting yourself in the head? Is it just
because it's money that goes down the drain? Because also the mill charges you per weight of olives that you bring in.
Okay. So
if you're not getting much oil based on the weight of olives, you're spending a lot of money to mill water, because what gets separated out is the water.
So your cost and your overheads are going up, and the yield of the product. I mean, we're talking business speak, but this is important. I mean, you guys are olive oil entrepreneurs. So
I mean, that's all why your olive oil costs money too.
Right. Yeah, we're oil men.
Yeah, but only healthy oil men.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and honestly, like. And I'm showing it again. I've showed it earlier. Just amazing, beautiful shots of the villa. I definitely can't wait to come out there and check the place out physically in person and just chill out and relax. But would you say the olive oil business is what helped you guys restore and remodel that villa? Is it really all about that, or
initially no?
Okay,
but now it really does help us. Because it takes a long time, right? We've been making and selling olive oil for like 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
12, I think.
12?
Yeah.
So, in the beginning, just like any business, we weren't making any profit. We were just pumping money into the olive oil business.
Sure.
While we're pumping money into the rebuilding of this house. It's taken us 13 years to redo this house.
No, you guys can definitely tell, though, you painstakingly love your villa, your home.
Yes,
and the fact you guys open it up to the general public is kind of funny to me, too.
Well, but you almost have to, because, we have 11 bedrooms that we rent out. So, I mean, it's a huge place.
Oh, wow.
We can sleep 22 people besides ourselves and my mother, who lives here.
Wow.
Yeah. So technically you had our bedrooms. We have 13 bedrooms.
Yeah,
actually.
13 bedrooms. And I think, something like 11 or 12, maybe 14 bathrooms.
How old's your mom? How old is she?
She's 162. No, she's a pain in the ass. No, but she's 82.
Okay. Yeah.
She just moved here from Florida, and she hates it.
Why? Because she's used to the modern life of U.S. or?
Yes. Now, although she comes from this town, but she's used to the modern life of the U.S. She had a beautiful condo in God's Waiting Room, Florida, in Jupiter Beach, overlooking the ocean. She couldn't get out of the house, but she still thinks it was better there than being here. And she has become so American. You bring home fruit. It's like, oh, look how nice these peaches are, Mom. Oh, but the ones I used to get at Costco were so much bigger. Everything was friggin' bigger in America. It's like,
how long does she spend in this country?
In which country? In the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Like 55 years.
Yeah, I mean, she's had plenty of time to get reprogrammed. So,
but I spent 50 years in the U.S. as well. I was born in Italy. Went to America when I was 7. Then came back here after 50 years. And I'm not like her. I like all the, she's also huge, right? So everything looks smaller to her because she's enormous. So it's like, of course it looks smaller.
Well, and how long has she been living at the villa now?
2 years.
Okay, so she's got over the next hopefully 2 to 3 more years, like at that 5-year mark, she keeps listening and reabsorbing the culture, and her health will actually improve.
I hope so. Yeah.
I do, and I think it has since she's been here, definitely. And she looks better.
And again, I talk to people all the time. Your weight is not, I can't stand the scale, but initially if people are obese, the scale is important. But the sooner you get off of the scale and you start tracking your life based on inches, and you start reducing the stress weight, which is inflammatory response to the body. Inflammation is what triggers disease. Inflammation is really where excessive weight gain and all that water retention and other bad toxins are being stored. I could geek out on that forever. But the beauty of this, like, guys, like she should be living with you. You're in a beautiful countryside. She
is obese, though. She's obese.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I just aired today a guy who was on Vinny's show, and he's a huge NSNG advocate. His brand's called MySugarFreeJourney.com, and he's lost 200 pounds.
Wow.
He is half the man he used to be. He was over 400 pounds.
Wow.
So his name is, it's pronounced Aaron, but it's Aarn. It's Aaron Farmer. Just a great guy. Lives out in Texas. He talks about how literally, he's like, he called it an obesity epidemic in the southern portion of the U.S. It is tied to the poverty epidemic. He said there's definitely a direct correlation. He's struggled financially. He knows what it's like.
Yeah. And my mom still thinks that, we're trying to convince her, but, she really believed when she was in Florida, especially, that by eating fruit, it was good for her and it wouldn't put weight on. I'm like, Mom,
how much fruit are you eating?
Exactly. I mean, eating a peach is one thing. Eating a case of peaches in one day is not the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at it this way, guys. You just learned today about, listeners, guys, you have 2 sources of fat, energy-rich food, meaning avocados and olives. Mm-hmm. Then you got everything else, right? Yeah. So you need to balance. It's all about balance. Everything is balance. It's proper sleep, proper recovery, proper sunlight, proper diet. And but to your point, people are like, oh man, I love a fruit smoothie, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, guys, like I took a whole year off from fruit except for red wine, and I'm still standing here.
Yeah. And the other thing that really hurts people my mother's age, especially ones who would live in Europe, not so much the U.S., because the U.S., don't take this the wrong way, didn't suffer, physically on the mainland U.S. during the war, right?
True.
The war attacks and what.
Yeah, but we were basically a very large, safe island. I mean, we're a continent, but we had 2 oceans protecting us.
Right, but people here were literally starving. People here literally had no food. So the concept of bread is something so sacred to them. I mean, they will not throw away a piece of bread. It's like spitting in the eye of God if you throw away a piece of bread. Because when they were growing up during the war, if they even had bread, it was like the biggest blessing that they could get. Mm-hmm. So they remember the days of when their mother or father would bring home a piece of bread and they would all jump on it. So, but they overdo it. They have this love affair with bread. It's like, lay off the bread.
Well, and also your bread or your grains are different there than here. Like I'm not going to get on the whole gluten kick because that's another whole podcast show. Yeah. But again, I can't. This is, again, to our listeners, guys, these are our opinions from our own lifestyle research. But I've talked to other biologists and people who are way smarter than us, and they talk about how, is it really a gluten protein issue in the grain, or is it the residual chemicals that were sprayed on those plants before they were processed and then overly processed in our excessive manufacturing here of food in the U.S., right?
And we have another theory here in Italy, because we also sell pasta on our website.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is organic, the grain grown here. Coincidentally, the grain, which was almost extinct, is called Senator Cappelli, just like my last name.
Wow.
And
cool.
It's been brought back now because they stopped using it for a while because it grows very tall. So you don't want tall grain because rain and wind.
That's everything. That's where they bring here in the U.S. Everything gets genetically modified.
Exactly.
Because they think they're improving the plant.
But the other theory here in Italy that some people espouse, which I give some credence to, even though I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination, is that a lot of the wheat or flour that we consume in the U.S. and most parts of the world now comes from Canada and Russia. So the difference between Canadian and Russian wheat and Italian wheat is the sun. So by drying the wheat properly, you don't get this type of light fungus that can grow on the wheat.
True.
So people here think it's that fungus that is causing the problems of wheat that is not dried properly.
Right. Very, very educational.
Maybe too much so.
Well, you know what? To our listeners, I mean, that's the beauty of digital audio content is you can pause, play. There's been a large circle of influence here from history, education, and like the one thing that I love bringing forth in podcasting is that we are nobody special. We're regular, everyday people that just happen to have picked different niches to really geek out on and dig into.
Right, exactly.
And you guys, I truly feel are leaders in the health space when it comes to olive oil. So
thank you.
Besides the fact that you guys really know how to restore a freaking villa. Like I'm showing a photo of like clearly probably a wedding ceremony with the pool in the backdrop. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, and you're like, oh my God, right here. This is where I want to hang out at night, right there.
Yes. And if you're interested, folks at home, go check out the video of before and after.
Yeah,
that'll blow you away.
Oh, when you release that on your Facebook page, again, guys, Villa Cappelli, there's 2 P's, 2 L's. Yeah. That's, again, you can go to the website and all the stuff is linked to social media.
On the website too.
Yeah. Also, again, we do ridiculously awesome show notes. So to listeners, guys, you'll be able to go to lilyfuel.com for their episode. Everything will be hyperlinked, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. So you can follow them because it's just simply gorgeous. And that video, I'm definitely linking in here because when you released that, I forget how many months ago that was. Yeah. I was sharing the crap out of that. That was just amazing. So
the last time I checked, I think we were over like 85,000 shares.
Well, hopefully with this show and we get some sharing to our listeners, guys, share this. I mean, maybe we can get that over 100,000. So, because it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Yeah. You guys don't mess around. So speaking about not messing around.
Yes.
What is this little email I got today?
Yes.
Yeah. So, why don't we talk about this? So our listeners, guys, I'm sharing something. The subject from the email was you could win over $600 in prizes. Mm-hmm. So, and there's a bullet pointed list here of all kinds of cool stuff. I see Anna Vocino made the list. She autographed some cookbooks and stuff. Yeah. So what's going on here?
So we teamed up with Anna actually to do this. We were doing a Eat Happy Sweepstakes where we're giving away tons of stuff. It's our way to give back to everybody and at the same time help spread the word a little bit. But and by the way, there's actually a slight mistake in that after I'd sent out the email and done all my social media that has all this information, it's actually over $700 because
now you have an excuse to send another email in the next couple of days.
Good, actually, because Vinny at the very bottom, you'll see Vinny added a bullet point the last minute, and I totally forgot that pushed it over $700.
Oh, wow. All right. Now, to our listeners, guys, if you haven't listened to Vinny's episodes, the fact that Steve has that last bullet point on her, again, I love Anna. She is awesome. Her cookbook's awesome. But, dude, you have a fitness trainer to the stars who gets over 1 million downloads a month on his podcast, who goes on to other people's shows, including my own, and has a crazy following. This guy's giving away a consultation. It's worth, I would say, more than $100.
I don't understand how he does just $100. I mean, that tells you the kind of guy that Vinny is.
He's a down-to-earth guy. Good old Italian there, man, right?
Yes. That does half-hour consultations for $100. I mean, it's crazy. And
the gentleman, Aaron, mentioned earlier, he's used Vinny for that exact reason. I mean, that's he's the guy. Vinny's the guy who literally trademarked NSNG, no sugar, no grains. I mean, it's
right.
He's not messing around.
I lost 35 pounds doing NSNG. Just a side note.
There you go. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was moving here. It was like stress, eating lots of bread, eating lots of pasta, and I stepped on the scale one day, and I was like, "Whoa, what? How much do I weigh?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tall. I'm 6'3", so it didn't show as much,
Oh, you're like me. I'm 6'3", 6'4". I think I forget when last time.
But then I decided to do this NSNG thing, and I'm like, oh, this works. it's worked.
Well,
anyway.
What you were simply doing, and Vinny's said it many, many times, you're realigning things. You're guiding things back to balance. Your hormones then had time to rebalance, recalibrate.
And it did take me a while for that to happen. Actually, it took me like a good 5-6 months, because the first couple, I wasn't expecting it to be really fast, but I thought maybe it'll be quick. And I actually called up or sent an email to Vinny and Anna and was like, okay, this isn't working. Like after like 2 months, and they were like, no, just give it time. And then suddenly it just kicked in,
Yeah. But, so with this sweepstakes then, and I'll make sure I air this. Is this officially kicked off then? It's ready to rock as of today?
Yes, as of today. When we're
then I gotta bump somebody out. I gotta get this thing, because I release shows every Monday and Friday. So I'm gonna bump this in and get this. Try and get my editor. My editor I use is in Bosnia, but he loves the American dollar. He's very cost effective. So I highly recommend. He doesn't speak a word of English. We've never talked. We just email each other. So I found him on Fiverr, of all places, by the way.
Wow. Cool.
So great guy, gets the stuff done. But I mean, we have a few hours difference. But I'm going to see if he can bump this into the lineup and get the editing done, so I can get you guys out on Monday then. So.
Yes. Cool. So
it's the advantage of hosting your own show. I make the decision.
Your own link, or do you want me to give you a pretty link that can get you right to this, or what?
I have been doing that more. Usually, if there's as you guys know, the discount code we use is fuel for the website. But usually, if people are creating custom links, like for example, maybe you guys want to do like villacappelli.com/livethefuel, or it's whatever, you could do that, and then I could share that in the blog posts and all my, because you know me, man, I'm going to blast you guys all over social media. So.
Well, I mean, the easiest one it's already set up is livingvillacappelli.com/eat happy.
Oh, all right.
They'll take you right to the contest. You're probably, if you've already entered, I don't know, have you already entered?
Admittedly, no. I've been traveling all day, and I came back for this, and I had the Cairo session, so I haven't had a chance to even click on that.
Okay, no, it's fine. So if you do that, then Eat Happy, one word, and that'll take you right to the sign up page, basically.
There you go, listeners. I'm literally entering as you guys are listening to this. And also to show also transparency, guys, this is being recorded live on Friday, September 1st. I will submit this to my editor, and if all goes well, I will have this up when you guys will literally hear this. Hopefully today will be Monday for you guys, which will be Labor Day here. Or no, it isn't Memorial Day. Labor Day, whatever holiday it is here in the U.S. But I love the little promotional page. Very nice. And yeah, you got to update this because that's 700.
I know, I need to.
Okay.
He just added it at the last minute. Anna sent me a note, and I just threw it in there, and I forgot that it actually bumped it up. So.
And I don't care if people see my email, whatever. Doesn't matter to me.
There you go.
Enter. I love that spread. So they already sent you all. I mean, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so now what he just did, guys, is he entered. That gives him one entry into the contest. But, of course, we'd like you guys to help us spread the word. So
I love
every other person you get to sign up for this contest, you get 10 extra entries into the sweepstakes.
So quick little social media lesson, because I love to share. You notice how you're exceeding the character limit in Twitter?
Yep.
So when you do go back to edit the dollar value, you got to shorten this up, right? Because usually the hyperlinks don't take up a lot of space, but obviously you want to make sure Anna's getting tagged, and you can't get rid of the via piece. But if you can shorten the first,
I didn't realize it was over. Yeah, no, that's good.
2 sentences, that'll help, right?
Yeah,
so
no, I didn't know it was over.
That's cool. Well, that's why we're doing it right now. So
Italian EVOO, that's easy.
I will do this. Win over. And I'm going to edit this for my own tweet.
Yes.
And we could do what? Is it
EVOO instead of extra virgin olive oil. Most people know that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to hashtag that bad boy. There we go.
Yeah.
So, and let me hashtag that one too. I do this all the time anyway. When I'm always tweeting people's podcasts and stuff. So, and wait, no, damn it. There we go. So you guys get to see what it's like, how I play around in the social media space. So sometimes you got a little tweaking. So,
yes.
Boom, you've been tweeted.
Ouch! I felt that.
I love it. No, this is awesome, man. I'm super stoked that we've been able to geek out as much as we've done today. This is has been a blast. I've been trying to catch you guys for so long. So
thank you. We really, really appreciate it.
Well, it's like everything. The reason why I launched this platform was it really came like Vinny was one of my influencers. I said, listen, you know what? I'm a marketing guy. I can do this better than a lot of other people. So I need to start my own platform. It's free. Again, guys, that's the power of podcasting, guys. Like Villa Cappelli has a show. Vinny Tortorich has a show. I have a show. We're trying to just give as much free, valuable, high quality content as possible. But in my case, when I bring on people like you guys, like I did today, I want to try and honor you as much as possible, get your brand out there more, get a lot of exposure, and then who knows where it can go. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And we appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hinted at it earlier before we fire up the show today. I think we should probably give our listeners the day back to themselves and also your evening back to you, gentlemen, because you're 6 hours ahead of me. So what is everything that we talked about today, everything we've gone over, the creation of Villa Cappelli, the restoration of your villa, your powerful relationship as two, I think, health defining gentlemen, the family you have, I mean, everything else is going on. Like, what is it? Is there a bigger mission behind all this? Is there a bigger message you're trying to get out there to the world behind Villa Cappelli and everything you guys are doing and providing a venue like you guys do now for destinations, which I will be visiting? I don't know. What would you guys like to leave our listeners with as like the final word today? And you guys can each go, by the way, separately. So,
you have one?
Well, I think mine might be that what a lot of people say to me is when I tell them what we're doing and the olive oil, the great products, the villa, the lifestyle, a lot of people say, "Well, you're really living the dream, aren't you?" And my answer usually is, well, I'm really living your dream. So
interesting.
Yeah, for me, it's like, anybody can do this. You can enhance your lifestyle. You don't have to really change your lifestyle. I'm not a big user of the word change as much as I am a user of the word making things better. Better
okay.
is a better than change. So, it is a dream for a lot of people, but I think anyone can enhance their lifestyle, simplify it, and actually live better both mentally and physically. And if you can't do it yourself for whatever reason, because maybe you're not old enough yet, maybe you haven't made enough money yet, whatever the reason is, we don't mind you living that dream through us vicariously.
Yes. I'll piggyback onto that. This touches a little bit in the before and after video we're talking about, and just our the way we've redone the villa and brought it back to life. Paul had a great quote that he's always uses, which is when he first saw the villa, he wanted to restore its soul, but in the process, it restored his. And I think that's also kind of what we do here with renters and with people coming here and staying with us, but also with our products, giving you a little taste of Italy. And even with our podcast, we, like Paul said, people living vicariously through us and learning to just take a step back and relax and enjoy life and enjoy your food, enjoy really good food. I mean, that's what Italians do so well. And we kind of love spreading that message.
And let's not leave one important thing. Being successful at it. It doesn't hurt to be able to live this lifestyle and share this lifestyle with other people and still do it as a business.
Very good clarifier, right? Let's be real. This is, you guys are truly embodying that balance that I bring on this show of health, business, and lifestyle.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a better way to bring the show to an end. Like, you guys are truly doing all three. And in the end, like Steve had said there, taking a step back and your own words here to close the show out, I want to remind the listeners that something that very transparent that you guys share as a joke, but you were serious about, like even your own mother, Paul, is struggling with that transition, you know, and that provides, you can't beat the truth and the realism behind that. We all have our own struggles. To our listeners, guys, it is okay. Paul, Steve, myself, none of us, there's no such thing as the word perfect. I can't stand the word perfect anymore. I used to use it all the time. I'm still trying to break it out of my vocabulary. But taking a step back and relaxing, unplugging, and realizing where you're at in life and trying to figure out where you're going to go next, part of you figuring out where you're going to go next is taking that step back and relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you guys should do it at the villa.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually thinking of doing unplugged weeks. Where you have to come in and leave your cell phone and your iPad and all the other stuff at the door.
I think it's a great idea. I know, again, to our listeners about health and fitness balance, I know Steve mentioned in some messaging the other night, you guys are starting to do maybe some stuff with like maybe some fitness and some yoga stuff. So I'm loving that. Yep. It shows you guys are always willing to try something new and break the mold. And that's a true definition of a very successful entrepreneurial group, is that people are willing to break the mold and try something new and prevent stagnation. Right. So, well, listen, gentlemen, I want you guys to hang on tight so I give you a proper goodbye. To our listeners, this is a longer episode because I've been wanting to hang out with these guys for a while. And literally, you guys got to hang out with us. And they're in Italy. We're here in the U.S. You guys could be in any of a number of countries because we do have international listeners. So I want to thank you guys for your loyalty. These gentlemen, Steve and Paul, have just helped embody what we do here. We're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. So go check out villacappelli.com. Use my discount code FUEL to get 10% off. Use Vinny's discount code, I don't care, ending in IE to get 10% off. And make sure you go to the website and use the link to get into the sweepstakes and win a lot of cool free swag. All right? So this is what we're all about, guys. Keep living the fired up epic life. We'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you.
You are free of the pod.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, that was great.
I hope you guys had fun.
Yes, that was awesome. It was awesome.
It was great.
I'm a little bit different than Vinny.
Yeah, no, but it's all, as long as it's all real, it's all cool, right?
Did you ever?
That's what it's about.
Our podcast with Vinny.
What's that?
Did you ever listen to our podcast with Vinny?
Oh, the old one.
Yeah,
way back. Yeah, I had to do his whole pay the thing to get access to the old pods because
we actually had him on our show.
Oh no!
Yeah. You have to listen to that one. It's hilarious. Actually.
Oh man, I'm slacking off.
It's actually not G-rated though. I'm just going to point that out because Paul, in the middle of this podcast, tells this very offensive story, and I'm like, "There's no way." And then Vinny's like, "No, you cannot cut that out." I'm like, "Oh God, dang it,
dude!" I told you guys before. I don't care.
No, I know.
It's true transparency, right? Yeah. You are who you are. I can't. There's people nowadays need to. And again, we still have the video feed. So, guys, if you're following this on YouTube right now, like, just be who you are. Like, don't feel bad about it. You are your brand. Your brand is you. That's why I created Live the Fuel. I tell people, like, listen, I had a choice. I teach people this. Like, you either build a powerful brand name, or you build a brand behind your name. Either way, they're going to overlap. And if you try and fight who you are, your brand and your business or whatever you're trying to create in life will never come to fruition and be pure and healthy and balanced because you fought who you are and you're putting a false persona out there.
I used to give the same speech at universities when I would give speeches on marketing and advertising. And one of the speeches was basically, be true to your school, be true to yourself, to what your brand is all about. Yeah,
I love that, man. I should have came and studied under you. Sounds like I still got a lot of things I could learn from you.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, is there besides the sweepstakes, everything else? We're definitely going to push this out ASAP. Is there anything else that I could be doing for you, gentlemen, before the episode goes out on Monday that you need me to include in here? If there is, feel free to email it over. I finalize everything always the night before. So,
and if you need anything from us, just let me know.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need another pictures or something like that, just let me know.
Yeah, because actually I use. Hold on a second here. My project management app that I communicate with my editor is. I use Trello. By the way, highly recommend it for managing my podcast. I built a whole control panel board here. But the photo you guys sent me in the link for the booking the show. Is like one of those landscaped long horizontals. Now I might be able to crop that, but I know because I follow you guys. You guys just did some kind of photo shoots and stuff. I don't know if you have access to those images, but it'd be nice to get something like a little bit higher resolution. Because
that's one of those few that I have. That's because we never take selfies like together. I don't have pictures of like us together ever. But no, I'll look what I have.
Well, I mentioned that because, and here I will share. I've been talking to you about this, and I was not even sharing my screen.
What you're talking about? It's not the best shot.
Well, no, like this is what you look like when I launch you on the website.
Gotcha. Okay.
I want to make sure, and then obviously other images can then go into the body of the article. So like here, this is the gentleman who lost 200 pounds,
Right.
literally half the man he was. But then I can embed other images here, like and to help chunk out and mix up the blog content. So,
okay.
And then I embed your YouTube in from this episode as well. But I will also embed in your story video as well. But my point was, as far as the this is the image you sent me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what's going to look like yet. Once I crop the left and right out and try and box it, but it does zoom it in. So I just want to make sure it might be too grainy. I won't know until I actually do the graphic. So
okay. Well, let me know, and I can look for some more.
Yeah.
For casting.
Say again?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just telling you we might have a couple others.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll look and see what I have.
Well, come on, guys. You guys are a couple. I mean, seriously. You guys don't have photos together?
Yeah.
This is the first time we've been in the same room together in 5 years. No kidding. I'm joking.
Well, to be fair, like my fiance, we have, if I ever take selfies or photos with her, I'm not allowed to post anything. She has to screen them first. So,
of course.
and I was like, really? Like, come on.
Come on, be a guy.
Like I said, guys, I was a bachelor a long time. This is the first real relationship I ever had. So it's, it's learning that I don't know everything. I need to shut up once in a while and let her win most of the time. Or or let her think she is. And don't worry, because she doesn't listen to my podcast, so I don't have to worry about it.
All right. Well, thanks, Scott.
Thank you, gentlemen. This has been awesome. I will now I'm gonna have to order your red wine vinegar. And I'm gonna order the little I just did an order recently. I need to order your little single bottles.
Oh yeah.
Well, because I literally as a former hardcore cyclist, I still travel around with like you can buy these little portable plastic squeeze bottles that the gel companies would give you for athletic events. Well, I don't put gel in there anymore. One of the things I tagged you guys in, I put olive oil in there, and I was using that for a big 100-mile road biking event that I did, a century ride. Yeah. So I don't want to promote them anymore because their name is on the side. So I'm going to order those little glass vials because Vinny told me about those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are cool. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, anyway, we've geeked out a long time about olive oil. I will definitely honor you guys, get this content out as soon as possible. And like I said, if after tonight you think about anything else you want to include, just shoot me an email. And and we'll definitely be staying in touch in the online space. So
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Scott, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, it's been an honor myself, sir. And if I could ever honor your podcast or you guys need an excuse to bring somebody else on the show, keep me in a loop, let me know.
We will let you know. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.